Hey, it's Dr. Andy. Here's COVID episode number 15. And I had a friend ask me what I do when I'm at home under COVID protocols, since, again, I'm just running under the assumption it is. Not that I necessarily expect it is. I do think it is. But because of the public health system working as it is with delays in testing and delays in results, really the safe way to do this is if it's possible that you could have it because you have symptoms that are consistent, you really kind of have to treat it that way so that we're not spreading it until you got a negative result. Interestingly, in my case, one of the issues, the symptoms, when I piece this all together and look back and see when was the first symptom, the first symptom I had was probably last Friday. And so unfortunately, by the time I get tested, it'll already be a week out. It's possible that I could have antibodies that are masking the test at that point. So it still is likely that I would come up positive, but it's possible that with that test, I will be negative, and it would be a false negative at that point. So that's again why we need to be able to have rapid testing. The chance goes up for having a false negative the longer you wait. So that's a possibility. It may be then that I won't really know until someday when I get an antibody test and then see if I turn up positive. I've had a previous antibody test a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was more than a couple weeks ago now. But when I donated some blood, they ran a COVID antibody test and it was negative at that point. So I know I was negative however many weeks ago that was, a few weeks. Back to Joey's original question about what I do, what kind of precautions I take. Well, you'll notice that I haven't shaved. I kind of prefer not to shave, really. And my wife says she likes the look, but she doesn't like the touch, right? Doesn't like to kiss it that way. So what a great opportunity, because right now it's all look and no touch. So yes, I'm isolating myself. I'm in my bedroom, basically staying here. If I have to go out, and it's a master suite, luckily I have a bathroom right here. So it's just kind of my little corner of the house. I do go out occasionally to refill my water. A couple of little things like that. And so when I do, I wear a mask when I go out. If my wife comes in, she wears a mask. And actually, she's wearing a mask all the time around the house because she's the one that's most likely would have contracted it from me before we became aware. So she's wearing a mask to hopefully prevent spreading anything to the kids in case she ends up being positive. And so those are kind of the general precautions we're following. I wash my hands. I'm very careful. If I go out of the room, wash my hands before I go out, and that way, and make sure I don't touch my face or anything in those couple of minutes that I might be out to take care of whatever I'm taking care of. This highlights some of the other issues with public health. The whole idea about quarantining is that really has to be supported. In order for that to work, it has to be supported with ways to support those people in quarantine. They need ways to get their food. They need ways to get medication. And not quarantine and isolation, right? If people are home because they're isolated because they're sick, or if people are home in quarantine because they have been exposed or may have been exposed, then there needs to be a very strong support system to make sure that they get the things they need so they can stay there. That's how a good public health response to something like this works. And that's how also you should have good responses to help make sure people don't economically get set back by things like that. To support people so they can step away from life for a little bit to prevent the spread. And then once their time is gone, the quarantine window is passed, they could come back out if they're performing the essential services. And ideally, of course, you get under control enough so that you don't have to have these stay-at-home measures, and you could just get by with some physical distancing in public. And then eventually, where you don't even have to worry about those physical distancing, what we often call social distancing types of measures, right? So that's really how this public health outbreak needs to work, and there are a lot of pieces that need to go into play. So that's why I think a lot of times when people focus so much on get the economy running, or this or that, there's so many other pieces in between. It's really more complex, but also much smoother than that. There are a lot of ways to deal with these things, and if you do it well and you follow those public health recommendations, and the public health experts think about that. They think about the problems and the challenges of people being home, and of having mental health issues and having other issues when they're at home. So they think about that, and that's a good public health response addresses each of those things and minimizes the effects of all. So anyway, that's a little bit about my experience here, what we're doing to protect, and to see from that the kinds of responses that you would need to have a good public health response to something like this. There you go, Joey. That's for you. I'm Dr. Andy, teaching you, Joey, public health, because I like to, and I think it makes the world a better place.